Welcome everybody here to the Lakers Lounge. I'm Anthony Irwin. I know I promised you guys Harrison Fagan and that he was going to get ready to laugh at me for a solid 15 minutes or so for my Lonnie Walker tweet. He has COVID. He has.
We're putting his business out like that.
I mean, who cares? Like, it's not,
Him maybe.
it's not an STD. It's not.
HIPAA, perhaps.
It's not. It's not even a. I don't even think it's a. Yeah, they declared that it's not an emergency anymore. So yeah, Harrison is sick, and I figured Harrison is like good enough to technically go, but seeing as the Lakers have a 3-1 lead, we figured we would let him rest up and get ready for Game 6.
Yeah, like the rumors that the Lakers may not the rumors, the hot take artist who said maybe the Lakers should rest everybody in Game 5.
It's funny. We
not
made
everybody,
fun of that. Like we like jokingly said that last night. Like we jokingly said,
Who said that?
Huh?
Who said that? You and Raj?
Yeah, me, Raj, and Serena. It was mostly me because I'm I'm the one who's more likely to fly off a handle. I don't actually think that. I wake up this morning and ESPN's like, "Well, what do you think?
Okay.
Should they?" No, no, they should not.
This is the goddamn playoffs. and we'll get to this.
And that's Aaron. Aaron is here instead of Harrison, by the way.
Yeah, me. This is the playoffs. And you don't give up, you do not give away playoff games. Shout out the Warriors, who seemingly decide to just keep doing this a bunch.
7-point lead going into the fourth last night.
Well, they were up 12 or 13 in both games in LA, and gave away game 1 and gave away games in the King series and gave away games all year. So this just seems to be who they are. But that's the other part of this. This is the playoffs. You don't give up games. Like all the people talking about when to sit, LeBron, AD up. However, that was true in the Memphis series. It's been true in the blowout of the Warriors in Game 3. The answer to that is basically never. Yes, I know you want to minimize mileage on people. It's the playoffs. You don't. And the other thing is, if there is one team that, I mean, we'll see, maybe or maybe not, is like, what, I don't know, put some like vampire or something that some nightmare creature
Westbrook?
that you just can't kill.
Oh.
If there is one of those, maybe it is the Warriors and maybe it isn't, but at least the idea should be that's the Warriors because they just always win. So
you cut off the head,
you
burn the body.
You do not play around with this at all.
Yeah.
AD and LeBron need to play 44 minutes again.
You kick every weapon away from the body as possible, even after the head is chopped off. Like you know.
Right. You shoot them, you shoot them and kill them, and then you walk up on the body, and just because you shoot them in the head 17 more times, and then you still are a little concerned.
Yeah, you like as you're walking away, you're still kind of looking back there, like, is this actually gonna happen?
You check the kitchen for steak knives.
Yeah. No,
So
yeah,
I'm
not kidding. That. Like last night, I was like, I jokingly said like the Lakers are going to get their butts kicked. I think in Game 5, and this is a rare game that you just forfeit and you stay at home. But I said it with a smile.
I think they're going to get their butts kicked in Game 5, and I think the Lakers handle the Warriors pretty easily in Game 6. I also think it's not, and this is the first time I've ever said this. And I think this is the first time anyone could possibly think this about this group. And I think there's a non-zero chance, and I don't know what it is because I just don't have a good handle on this series. I think there's a non-zero chance the Warriors just lay down. And that sounds impossible to say about that group.
I've been thinking about that all day. I've been thinking about it all day. And I think part of it is because like when the team that you root for wins a playoff game, you think like they're never going to lose ever again. Like there's a sense of immortality and invincibility that comes with winning a playoff game, especially a playoff game like the Lakers just won last night where, coming off of a 30-point win and then, down 7 to the reigning champs, Steph is giving you everything he has. They're, at least in the first half, spamming pick and roll in a way
Steph is giving you everything he has that Steve Kerr's play calling allows.
Yeah. Well, again, lots to talk about here, but yeah, I've been so basically here's the situation I'm in betting wise. All right. I
Oh,
know how
okay.
much you guys love to hear about
This is
Avery's
the part I
donuts.
have to like stay away from. So I just have to like mute my mic while you talk about this.
Well, all right, but so the Lakers, I heading into the series, I
Wait,
made
hold on. I
two.
asked you a question on Twitter. Sorry to interrupt you because it's your show. I asked you a
Yeah,
question yesterday on Twitter because you said you alluded to the fact that basically Avery is 4-0
she is
when she
4
wears a
0 now.
jersey,
She
and
well, she
then
was 3
and
0
now
when I tweeted.
is now 5-0, right? Is now
No, now
5-0
4
after
0.
yesterday.
Now 4 now
I thought
4
you
0.
said four. No, I thought you. I'm pretty sure you said 4-0 before the game yesterday. I'm pretty sure it's 5-0, and I shouldn't know this better than you do. I'm
No,
pretty
I'm
sure
pretty
it's
sure
five and
it's
zero now.
4. Okay. I
Okay, well,
no.
check your
No, no, no.
tweet.
You know what? You know what happened? I said that she was attempting to be 4 0.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I said what happened in the other 5 games, which I guess should have been 6 games at that point because I
Mhm.
read it as she was 4-0, not she was attempting to be 4-0. And I think
Yeah.
we figured it out because your first rooting interest here is not the Lakers going faux, 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 faux.
This
Your
is so
first rooting interest is manipulating the series for whatever futures you have in each series. That's why you pull back on the Avery jersey. Why wouldn't you do it every time if you're just trying to win? You
No,
want
all
to
right.
you want to hit the games exactly, so you finesse it so that Avery doesn't bring the Lakers good luck every game.
No. That's not true.
Bring her in
Although
here. Bring her in here
my
and bring
betting
Christy Green.
my betting record on the Lakers this playoffs is pretty pristine. Like I've been pretty
And by the way, rule number 1 is do not bet on games you're emotionally attached to. That's rule
I
number 1 of gambling.
well, but the problem is like I also know more about the Lakers than any other team I would
Uh-huh.
potentially be betting on.
Except how much
So
of that is you think you know, but you don't actually because your fandom clouds
no,
your.
I'm look, I can't be hated. I can't be hated for being the negative guy in Lakers media and then also be hated for being a homer. Like y'all can't have that both
No,
ways.
no, 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 no. It's not both ways. It's the same way because
Mhm.
you, if you are, and I'm putting air quotes up for people that are listening to this, not watching this. I'm putting air quotes up. If you are the the king of Lakers
Chicken Little.
haters in Lakers media,
Mhm.
if that is the case, that also clouds your thinking. It's not
No,
it's not necessarily that you're a Laker homer. You could say because you just assume it's going to go poorly, or because you assume some negative things because you are the king of the Lakers haters in Lakers media. Maybe you think,
mhm.
well, it's going to be 6 instead of 5, or it's going to be 7 instead of 6, or you just assume the other shoe is going to drop at some point. That clouds your thinking too.
Here's what I'm going to say, and I don't want to.
Clouds is not the right word. Influences.
I don't want to. I don't want to like sound like I'm shitting on other Laker people, right? Like I think there are a
But you're
lot
going
of
to.
really smart.
But you're going to.
Well, I think that I probably watch more non-Lakers games than most, and like back when I was at Locked
I agree
On,
with that. You mean like most Lakers media people? You mean? Yeah, I
yeah.
agree with that. Yeah, I think that's fair. Or
And
not fair.
like
I think it's correct.
back when I was at Locked On, I had a national show, and then when I was at Vox, you and I had our show, which swayed more national than the rest of the Lakers stuff, because like I can't get enough of basketball, and
Right.
again, I'm not saying that to sound like I'm some genius or anything like that. I just think that like that that does influence, to use your word, my takes on the Lakers. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm always really hard on the Lakers because I look at other teams out there and I'm like, man, there's some really talented teams out there. There's some really good, smart organizations that the Lakers are competing against. And I know how much it's going to take to beat them. And then, by the way, that also the other side of that coin is I looked at coming into these playoffs and after the trade deadline, I looked around and I was like, there's a path here.
Mm-hmm.
I've paid real close attention to a lot of these teams. I have a lot of friends who cover a lot of these teams, and in some cases work for some of these teams. I'm like, man, I I think the Lakers have a real shot here.
You want my hot
And
take
what's that?
on that like
Yeah,
down
go for it.
that path? My hot take is, and I said this previous I said this a couple days ago, so not before the series, but after we got to see a little bit of Denver and Phoenix and got to see a little bit of the Lakers and Warriors. I think whoever wins this series, which certainly looks like,
Yeah.
actually, I don't know what it looks like. I guess it mathematically favors the Lakers right now, but I don't know
Yeah.
what it looks like. I
Yeah,
just
it's a
don't have a
boogeyman.
good handle on it.
So, yeah.
Whoever wins this series, I think, wins the title.
Yeah, I've been kind of reluctant to go there because I thought this would be I thought this was going to go 7 and whoever came out of this was going to be exhausted going up against I thought Denver was going to beat Phoenix handily. Like I thought they were going to get one of the games in Phoenix, wrap it up in 5 and then sit there and wait at altitude for the Lakers or the Warriors to come out of this series. So like that really made me nervous, but now it looks like that series is probably going 7 because neither team has role players who can play on the road. Apparently, neither team on by the way between those two can defend their own shadows. So like
Right. I think it's like a football thing. Neither one can stop a nosebleed.
right, yeah, like but
By the way, I think
I'm
Denver's
with you.
winning that series, but
I think so too, but I think it's going 7. I you know I for
we'll
some
get
reason
part of
like,
our answer tonight, I guess.
we had the Landry Shamet game in Phoenix. We have Devin Booker, who is like a freaking blowtorch out there. Like I cannot miss.
But it's not like cannot miss. Like somebody just is. I think he's shooting like 79% in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
But the most shocking part of it, the most shocking part,
Volume.
No, they're all jump shots.
Yeah.
They're all jumpers. He's shooting 79% on jumpers.
Yeah.
It's silliness.
It's unbelievable. And then, on his team, you have Kevin Durant, who is capable of doing the same thing, They almost had 2 straight games where they both got 40.
Book had 12 assists in game 4 also because he has to do what Chris Paul can't because Chris Paul, for the 100th year in a row, has not made it through the playoffs. And I thought, I was like, people were joking on Twitter, like, oh, they're better off without Chris Paul after they won game 3. And I pushed back against that. And my pushback was, yeah, they play faster. And Chris Paul's not that good anymore. But they only have like 4 NBA players as it is. And so when one of those is out, that's not a good thing. They just need the bodies.
Yeah, the Phoenix thing is really interesting. Booker, the reason that they have, as an organization, really taken steps forward the last few years has been his ability to create for others. And they have progressed as that has progressed for him. And, when Chris Paul is out there, especially in the playoffs, because like his tendency, like the one thing I really credit, I said this in the lowdown last night, the fascinating thing here watching the Lakers this year is watching LeBron like evolve with his body. Look at his body and be like, all right, I guess I'm going to have to lean on Austin. I guess I got to lean on D'Lo. I guess I got to lean on Schroeder and pick my spots. And yeah, there are occasions where last night he was sticking some people in the basket, and that's when the Lakers looked at their best. But like he has recognized where his body is at. And I don't think Chris Paul is always quite there. Like I still think Chris Paul wants to be the floor general, point in this direction, call to set, all that stuff. And when Devin Booker's on your team playing the way that Devin Booker is, and you have somebody not doing that stuff who isn't Devin Booker, that's where I wouldn't go so far as to say they're worse with Chris Paul. I think that Chris Paul needs to be staggered with Booker to continue to allow Booker to do as much creative stuff as he's doing right now.
So I agree, and we're just like as you and I tend to do, we're so
wandering.
far afield. We're so far afield. But I think there's an argument to say just sit Chris Paul when he comes back. I don't think he's coming back in this series anyway, but because they do look better without him. Are they better without him? I don't know, but they look better without him. Actually, no, I don't think they're better without him, but they look better without him. So I think the answer, because they're just not going to not start Chris Paul. They're not going to sit Chris Paul when he comes back. I think the answer is he has to play. And how odd does this sound? Chris Paul has to play the Landry Shamet role, which is stand in the corner.
He's not very good at that.
I mean, he's a good jump shooter. He's a better jump shooter than Landry Shamet.
But like it's kind of like LeBron before these playoffs was like a pretty good jump shooter, but never looked very comfortable catching and shooting. Chris Paul doesn't look comfortable catching and shooting.
Fair, but Chris Paul is a significantly better jump shooter than LeBron.
Oh, sure. Yeah. No, I agree. I'm just saying, like, by relative standards.
But do you want to mess with what's happening? I think that's the best compromise because they do need the bodies because they don't have enough NBA players.
Yeah.
And so I think taking obviously the heater that Book is on, you don't want to mess with that. So I think you let Book keep doing what he's doing, and it's just Chris Paul instead of Landry Shamet that is, are you going to make 4 or 5 threes in the fourth quarter?
Yeah. The thing that
also
drives
Denver's,
me bonkers watching
winning
them.
the series, but
I still think so because they have 2 home games and
I don't even think it's that. I think we've seen. I mean, I think it's partially that, but the effort that you have seen that it is taken from KD and Book in games 3 and 4, which just doesn't
to
happen,
barely win,
to like barely get across the finish line, like that's just, could it happen a couple more times? Yes, but I'm not betting on that. Just Denver has more options.
You know what's insane? For all of what we've been talking about with Devin Booker scoring the basketball and stuff, I think Jokic is outscoring him in the series right now. I think he has more
53 will help.
More total points than Devin Booker. But no, it's so bananas how things kind of fly under the radar with Jokic because like what he does comes in the flow of the game. And
he's the most we always talk about KD, right? As like the malleable superstar that can just like whatever you need. But I mean, Joker, like it feels like Joker like comes to each game and just dissects it, and in a way that KD can't because of Joker's size, right? In a way that like who's the most malleable superstar? I mean, maybe LeBron, maybe Steph is different. Like Steph can fit into whatever too, but like
I'd say LeBron.
Joker is like, well, Joker's not going to guard anybody still, but it was like, okay, does this game require me to get 53? Okay, I got you. Does this game require me to get 28 rebounds? Got you. Does this game require me to get 19 assists? Got you.
Yeah, he's incredible, man. Like the stuff. I mean, just in general, you look around the NBA, the stuff that is going on a basketball court right now is just fucking bonkers. It's so incredible. Like you watch what Steph was trying to do to the Lakers with all the pick and rolls last night and the 14 assists
in the first half
on the night that he doesn't necessarily have the 3-point shot going. And the reason he doesn't necessarily have the 3-point shot going is because occasionally you have a fucking pterodactyl switching out to him in space and capable of putting the clamps on the greatest offensive presence that we have ever really seen. That's in one series.
When both guys are gassed.
Yeah. But like that's just one series. In the other one, you have a 7-foot shooting guard who like over the course of his career who has made scoring look easier than anybody in the history of the sport, basically.
Right. No, not basically, actually.
Well, I think that's fair. I mean, I would maybe say Michael or Wilt back when they didn't have 3 in the key or whatever, but like.
Neither one of those guys made threes, and neither one of those guys had the handle, and that's the thing.
Also, I'm citing Wilt Chamberlain and Michael Jordan.
KD is Wilt's size.
Like I'm citing those are the only 2 arguments I can possibly make.
It's the best. It's one of my favorite things about the NBA is like the answer to every all-time trivia question is Wilt Chamberlain. Just like it's Wilt Chamberlain
on and off the court.
He is the guest.
And then you that's in that same series you have somebody who very easily could have won his 3rd MVP in a row this year at playing center in a way that we have never seen before in terms of facilitating and scoring and rebounding, doing like James you said, Harden whatever.
Occasionally beating the allegations.
What's that?
James Harden occasionally beating the allegations.
Yeah, right. And on the other side, in the other conference, right, you have Boston kind of revolutionizing this thing where it's like all wings and we're just going to beat the crap out of you, but then also occasionally beat the crap out of ourselves. And like Joel Embiid for one thing, like I know I tweeted it, I stand by it. I can't stand watching Joel Embiid play. You're too
I do
big to
not.
be knocked over like that.
I do not enjoy it. Did you
Stop
hear the stuff?
grifting.
Was it last week or a couple days ago that he said that he falls all like that on purpose to avoid injury? Did you see that? That was going around for a while, like where he just instead of like bracing himself and actually
Yeah.
like feeling contact and maybe he lands on something,
Mm-hmm.
he just goes completely limp and flops. Let's call it what
Yeah.
it is. Flops
Right.
to avoid injury.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joel.
Yeah.
You are 7'19", 689 pounds. Like, stop it.
Also, what you're doing isn't working. You haven't made it through a playoffs successfully yet. So like maybe fucking stand up. Like just try that. Don't let your 557-pound frame hit the floor every time you get touched. Let's just try
Andre
it.
the Giant, right?
See what it looks like.
Call him whatever pounds he is. Like, I don't know, maybe. Have you ever seen a 568-pound dude? I don't know, maybe.
It looks like
big.
that.
Are you sure?
If I ever saw one, it would look like that. Like he's a giant person, but still, like even while I can't stand watching him play, he's doing stuff that like somebody that big should not be able to do with touch and footwork and finesse and also power when he has to.
He's
defensively.
Player. He was not the MVP,
just insane,
but he's a fantastic player.
And then you have what's going on in Miami right now, where like Jimmy Butler turns into Michael Jordan every playoffs.
Jimmy Butler's legs are about as good as mine at this point, and I just had surgery, and he just is like, I have a third of one leg, and here's like 29 and 8 and 12.
Yeah, and he's still gliding somehow. Like it's not when he's in the air, he moves differently than everybody else. It's really kind of cool to watch him play.
So to bring this back to what people actually that are listening to this care about, I was disappointed is not the right word, but I was kind of surprised at the crowd in Game 3, in crypto for Lakers Warriors last night. I don't know if this is coming out tonight, but Monday night, Game 4 was an all-time crowd.
Bonkers.
It was all-time. And I don't know if the game was good. So I think we make a mistake as fans and in the media of equating competitive with good.
Yeah.
So it was an incredibly competitive game. I don't know if
dramatic.
I don't know if the level of basketball was that good. But it was as intense. I sit pretty close, and it was as intense as any game I've ever seen in person. It was like the speed and the aggression and the force with which both teams played.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of shot making other than Lonnie in the fourth. There wasn't a lot of shot making, but I've done this. I've been to every Lakers game for 6 years or something like that. And I've been in and around the NBA for most of my adult life. And I was still struck. My brother went with me, and he and I were like talking back and forth. I was struck by the physicality, the aggression, the force, the give a fuck.
But
both teams
that does make it a good game to me. That does like that. Yes, the shot making wasn't there, and the score was in the mud, and it felt at times like a '90s game or whatever. But like, I like playoff. I like the idea of like Steph getting up after throwing the ball out of bounds while he had a timeout in his back pocket. Like, I love the idea.
That was just going back to the King series. We can't.
He was just like, do I? No.
Yeah, we can't count on Steph to know the timeout count.
But like he gets up and he has like this he has like a but I wouldn't call it a floor rash because he didn't hit his neck on the floor or anything like that. But like he had a scrape on his neck,
abrasion,
and yeah, something that's a good word for it.
Draymond definitely got concussed.
You know how I knew Draymond got concussed? That behind the back move that he made, and then he makes the layup. Like he doesn't do that sober.
That was on the side where I said he looked directly at Rich Paul and started nodding at him and yelling at him after he did that.
And then I love like I think the NBA needs more of those kinds of games mixed in. Like we just talked about Joel Embiid. We're in a time where clearly, like and always, this is always going to be the case, but the American populace wants physicality from their sports. They love hockey and the idea that at any point
I mean, we
the
don't
two
love
guys
hockey,
can
but
just
we
randomly
love
throw
football.
down.
We love the violence of football. Yes.
Yeah, the love and the violence of MMA. There's that
Yeah.
slap fighting thing that exists for some reason. And it's just like the you watch that and you feel the taste for that from the American populace, and then you look over and there's Joel Embiid falling because like Malcolm Brogdon breathed on him one time. It's like I'm sorry, like the NBA needs more of games like we just saw last night, Monday night. Whenever you guys are listening to this,
Yeah.
they need more of that physicality, even if it isn't pretty necessarily, and it wasn't. Like there were stretches there, and especially in the fourth quarter, where it was only Lonnie Walker who was scoring for some reason.
There were stretches. That was the entirety of the fourth quarter. What do you mean there were stretches?
But like you know,
you're right. There was a 12-minute stretch.
It's a 12-minute stretch. Yeah, I think it literally started at 11:59. Right, he basically made his first three like 7 seconds into the game.
The fourth quarter was
Into the
27-17 Lakers, and Lonnie had 15 of them.
Yeah. But yeah, I loved last night. I loved every second of it. I love like the physicality that these guys pushing each other as hard as they can possibly go, and sometimes harder than they can possibly go. And yeah, like that to me is what playoff basketball should look like.
It was a lot of fun, and And by the way, I was hard on the crowd in Game 3, so to be fair, shout out to the crowd in Game 4.
It was a weird game for Game 3, though, right? Like the Lakers start down 12, and then they like just randomly make a 10-something run, and then that turns into a 30-point win. Like that's kind of a tough game to like get yourself situated in.
I thought it was until yesterday. I thought it was more that Lakers fans felt like something had been accomplished in beating Memphis, right? Especially with how the year started. And so, look, Lakers fans are not going to be satisfied with a first round win because there are higher aspirations than that.
Who do I talk to about that state championship t-shirt?
I got one for you if you want. I do think it was, I do think that it felt like for Lakers fans, the first chance after beating Memphis, after vanquishing Memphis, I do think it felt like the first chance to kind of exhale, you know, because it's been like for the team and for fans, it's been like you start 2-10, every day has been like a white knuckle kind of thing. And this was the first chance to, especially after winning Game 1 in San Francisco.
Yeah.
I think it felt kind of like you can take a breath for a second.
Literally just did it right now. Like
because
as you were saying,
not every game now, for the first time ever, not every game basically is a must win. I think that's part of it. I think the other part of it was the two fan bases that travel the best are the Lakers and the Warriors. And since they are close in proximity, that there were more Warriors fans, obviously, than Memphis fans. And there were a lot of that was my working assumption. And there were a lot of Warrior fans in Game 3. There was a lot of Warriors fans in Game 4 also, but it didn't feel like there was a dent in the din of the building from the Warriors fans last. It was, or what is today? Monday, as you listen to it, whenever you listen to this Monday.
Tuesday. Yeah.
Whenever you listen to this Monday. So because I was kind of hard on I thought the building was great in the first round. I did not think the building was great in Game 3 against the Warriors. It was even a level up from round 1 on Monday. As you listen to it doesn't matter when you listen to this Monday. Monday's the same whether you listen. There's no yesterday, today, tomorrow, whatever. Monday.
Yeah.
I was incredibly impressed, and it lived up to the tenor of the game. It lived up to the hype of the game. It lived up to the storylines of the game. And it lived up to why we all thought this series would be such great theater.
The part of it that I really enjoyed that really made its way through the TV, you know, and last quick thing here on the crowd, but like
which TV did you watch on? The 85 in the foyer, or
let's see, this was the 85 in the I went back and forth. I have like a 60 something over here in my office, and then you know, so I was going back and forth there. Do you ever do that when you're watching a game? Like, do you ever kind of swap positions over the in a living room depending on the direction?
Depends how it's going.
Right? Yeah, that's what I mean. Like
I always say, I'm not superstitious, but just in case,
yeah,
it's not gonna be my fault.
I'm a little stitious. I'm
just in case, we can't blame me. I don't know, but we can't
yeah.
blame me.
The Lakers went on their run when I moved one of the like bar stools from our counter bar to the
Is it?
couch
Will it stay
and
there
sat
for?
there.
Will it stay there for Game 5?
No, I see. This is
You've
the thing.
already
Like
moved it back.
you asked me like why Avery hasn't been wearing that jersey all the
Yes,
time.
correct. I did.
Um, I don't want to like I want to be able to look back and tell her like, hey, kiddo, you went undefeated in a playoff run one time, and it's
Okay, well
gonna
then
be
take
like,
it off. Then don't let her wear it again because the Lakers are going to lose another game in the
well, no,
postseason.
but I'm very selective of the games
What
that
if they get? Okay, so you just knew. You just knew yesterday.
I had a feeling. I had a
Oh,
feeling.
okay.
That's what I was saying. Like
Okay.
I've been pretty pristine in my betting
Okay.
on the Lakers this year, or certainly these playoffs. This year was a little rough because I felt bad fading them as often as I had to when Russ was still on the team. But like,
Dirty money. It's
hey,
dirty
man,
money. It's dirty
donuts,
money.
donuts.
Donuts are
Um,
delicious, but that's dirty money.
but yeah, I last night moved the chair from the uh, island bar that we have there to the behind the couch, and Jen was like, "You're really gonna stay there this whole time?" He's like, "Jen, they're on an 8-0 run, 10-0 run now. I am not
You
moving."
goddamn right, I'm going to stay here. Yeah.
I, but so I was watching though, and the thing that really came through in this one, and this to me is where a great crowd separates itself from a good crowd, is when you feel that crowd like uplifting the team. You know, a team needs a lift,
Hmm.
and the right basket goes through, and the crowd really gets behind it and really starts to like try to get the guys going. That to me, like that really showed itself in game 4 there, in ways that like Lakers fans never really get credit for because of the whole like East Coast bias thing that exists in media.
I think it's also a Dodgers, like, people associate Lakers fans with Dodgers fans, and the Dodgers are notorious for, what is it, like, showing up in the third and leaving in the seventh.
Yeah, I guess, but like Dodgers fans too, though. Like when the Dodgers are playing in an important game, Dodgers fans are bananas. Those like that Chavez
Baseball's
Ravine
stupid.
gets
I don't want to talk
loud.
about this anymore. Baseball's
It
stupid.
gets so loud. Like I can't even imagine, 19, what was it, 88, when Kirk Gibson hit that home run. I
Uh-huh.
can't even fathom how loud that building must have gotten. Have you ever thought
Cool.
about it?
Cool. Awesome. Great. Yeah.
All right, we have
Thank
to
you
talk
for
about
having me
actually.
on for the last time. So Mr. Pristine, what do you I keep saying this, but I don't have a good handle on this series. Like, this is gonna sound strange. Well, okay, here was my thinking going in.
Yeah,
I think
let's
the
start there.
Warriors, I think the Warriors are better than the Lakers.
I disagree
But
now, but yeah.
going in, I thought the Warriors are better than the Lakers. But both teams have a bad habit of not showing up
Hmm.
sometimes. And it doesn't feel predictable. Just the Warriors have been horrendous on the road. They sort of got rid of some of those demons, or so we thought, in Sacramento.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have a good handle on this to begin with, but I thought the Warriors were slightly better. I think the teams are very evenly matched. I thought the Warriors A game is better than the Lakers A game, but I think the Lakers throughout the season probably did a better job of getting to their B game more than the Warriors.
Yeah.
And so, like, some of this hasn't changed in the series. Like, there have been a lot of moments where it was like the Lakers just can't handle the Warriors.
Hmm.
And you think that in the moments that matter, in the last second stuff, you think the Warriors, like, championship DNA, all the stuff, that the reasons why you were like the Kings have no chance against the Warriors is because the Warriors have won all these titles. They've all done it before. And in those moments in this series, the Warriors have largely fallen apart, which is,
Yeah.
like, shocking, but also kind of in line with what their season has been like. And it's also
S-
like LeBron and AD have done this together also, right? So I don't know. I'm still kind of like, I'm
My
still
running
confused by it. The Lakers are up 3-1. and basically every Warrior except Steph, and that includes the coaching staff, that
Yeah.
includes management, that includes like everybody but Steph has been pretty awful.
Yeah.
And I still don't feel like I have a handle on it. Like if you told me the Lakers kind of punted game 5 like they did in Memphis, in the Memphis series, I would say okay. If you said the Warriors say like take a stand, we will not die, right? Our dynasty is not over. Yeah, that's reasonable.
Yeah.
If you told me LeBron says this is my chance to like put the stake in the vampire's heart in game 5 and LeBron has his like game that he just dominates everything, I believe it.
Yeah.
If you told me the Warriors laid down because the vibes are horrendous with the Warriors, I just don't know. I believe like this is why all of this is so fascinating because you could tell me like there are so many outcomes that seem kind of just believable. And the
So
corgi says the Warriors are winning in 7, which has been edited and ridiculous.
yeah, yeah. I don't think that dog has shot 100 for 100. Like
It's
something is
absurd.
going on there. But all right. So my thinking going into the series was I was with you. Look, we recorded the preview show on this feed, right? And you and I talked about it after we finished up. You know, not to tell any trade secrets here. After we finished up, we both kind of said like, "Man, I don't know." You know,
Yeah.
man, I don't know. And I didn't think it was a very good matchup for the Lakers. I didn't think though that like so many Warriors role players would no show. Like Jordan Poole had one good game. He's been shit otherwise. Klay Thompson, I thought
He had
last
as
night
many
shot
points
them.
last night as you and I did.
Yeah. Klay Thompson last night, I thought kind of shot them out of the game. Took a couple really dumb shots there
He did.
in the fourth. Draymond Green had that brutal turnover. And in the
Can we
fourth
talk about
quarter,
that for a second?
yeah,
Why is Steve Kerr calling that hammer action out of a timeout? He's
on
calling
on the guy
on
that it's named
LeBron,
after.
who's seen this and knew what was happening, and against Lakers coach Darvin Ham, who the hammer action was created for.
I found that out last night. I can't
What
believe
are
I
you
didn't know
doing?
that. Yeah. I think Kerr found that out last night too. He's like, hold on,
So it
what?
appears.
But like so anyway, my thinking coming into this series was I thought there were more ways for Golden State to win the series because they had home court advantage, and I just thought they match up better against the Lakers' weaknesses than the Lakers matched up against theirs, right? So the two bets that I placed coming into this one
Where's
was, huh?
Where's Avery?
She's in the next room.
She's rubbing her hands together, thinking about
Yeah, right,
what
right.
she's getting.
So the two bets that I made coming into this one was the Lakers to win, and they were both $100 bets. One was on longer odds, obviously,
Okay.
but I put $100 on the Lakers winning in 6, which was at plus 400, and then I bet $100 on the Warriors to win the series at any point because I thought that, and it was the safer bet. The Warriors were the favorites. If I had it to do again, I would have waited because I had a feeling the Lakers were going to win game 1, and I bet on the Lakers to win game 1. If I had it to do again, I would have waited for the Lakers to win game 1 and then placed the bet on the Warriors to win a series at some point and get better odds
You
on
would have
it.
got better odds, yeah.
But even still, like it would have been more, and it was when I made the bet more of a hedge bet. I wrote for Substack that I thought that the path that the Lakers had to take was super specific, where they had to win game 1, they had
And 3 and 4,
they
yeah.
had to win 3 and 4, and then from there you can rest in 5 and then win in 6. I thought that was always the path that the Lakers are going to have to take to get there. They have stayed on schedule. And
by the way, we talked about. I thought there was no way that you're beating the Warriors 3 times in a row, so it had
Yeah.
to be game 1, so you
Yeah.
can get 3 and 4. Yeah, we talked about
that was a
on
great
the
point
show,
when you made it too, because
And by the way,
I'm
if
with
you're
you.
going to close, if the Lakers are going to close the Warriors out, they will win 3 in a row.
Yeah, I just don't see it
Here.
happening in game 5, but we'll see. But yeah, and that's why like tomorrow I'm probably going to bet on the Lakers even though I don't see it happening because that's the only
You're
hedge.
hedging your hedges.
I'm hedging the hedge, right? Like if the Lakers win in Game 5, I lose both of those $100 bets. But if they win in Game 5 and I place a big enough bet on them to win Game 5, I can wind up clearing at least one of the bets. So that's the path that I've taken here
Do you have any idea?
on
This
Game
is like one
5.
of, I mean, look, and admittedly,
I mean, if I did, I'd be a lot richer.
I'm too close to this
Yeah,
on both sides, so maybe that's probably what it is. But I feel like in all of the playoffs I've seen, been a part of, covered, whatever, I feel like this series is the series I just have the least handle on.
hmm.
And again, I mentioned it like whatever 10 minutes ago. If you told me the Warriors laid down and died because the vibes are so terrible in Game 5, I believe it. If
The
you
vibes
told
are
me
terrible. Like Jordan Poole
the
and
vibes are
Kuminga are
horrendous.
sitting there whining after every
The
single
vibes are
game
horrendous.
about playing time.
If you told me that Steph and Clay and Draymond says we're not going out like this, I don't care what happens with the Lakers,
Yeah,
I'd believe it. If you told me LeBron like kind of just throttles it down to, and sees what he has in the first quarter, the first half, and if it's not there, just is like, we have two more chances, we're going home, I'll pack it in, I'd believe it.
yeah.
If you told me LeBron has one of those throwback 48, 19, and 7 games, I'd believe
Don't
it. Like,
I don't
I
know
just
if I
don't
would believe
know.
that. I don't see that in LeBron's bag right now.
I don't.
But
That's the point. Like, I don't know. I like that's what's so fascinating about this series is
yeah,
it still feels like all possibilities are on the table.
yeah. I think if I could theorize, like you and I have been talking about basketball now for years, plural, right?
Yes. Yes.
And you are very analytically driven, and
Mm-hmm.
all of the numbers would indicate, and they did indicate coming into this one, that the Lakers were underdogs. And I wouldn't go so far as to say heavy underdogs, but like notable underdogs in this one because
With
like the
advantages, though.
Warriors, yeah, they had advantages. There were ways, and the Lakers have done a really good job to offset some of the ways that the Warriors have broken the math. Um, I thought that like if they could get one of Poole or Moody to not be playable, that's how you win the series. Like
Well, it's not playable.
if if you, and he hasn't been for the most part, yeah. And
No, not for the most part. He has not been.
the part that I didn't see coming, and I thought it was a key coming into the series, but I didn't see both of these things happening. And this is, I think, why the Lakers are now such heavy favorites to win at 3-1. They found a way to make both Poole and Looney not playable.
Yeah.
Both of those guys not being able to stay on the court in this one is to me like the great advantage builder for the Lakers, because Looney isn't there creating extra opportunities for the Warriors, and Poole isn't there, taking advantage of those extra opportunities. And like you take away both of those things, it's such big parts of the Warriors' identity. And yeah, I just, that's, I think, why this series is where it's at right now. AD has been spectacular. The Lakers have gotten good production in spots from guys that needed to step up when they did step up.
That's what it is.
But like,
That is what it is.
yeah,
It's Lonnie won the game yesterday.
yeah,
And Austin had 20 plus, and AD had 20 plus, and LeBron had 20 plus. There was a couple D-Lo games. That's what it is. For
yeah.
the Warriors, it's Steph, and then looking around like anybody.
He's like Will Smith
Well,
in the
yeah,
living
look at it
room.
as
He's like,
dad. Yeah, like
fuck
does
everybody
anybody
go.
want to?
Yeah,
Anybody?
it's on one hand, it's like obviously really stoked that the Lakers are winning this thing and appear ready to move on. Um, on the other hand, though, it's like bittersweet because this should have been a Western Conference Finals, or like this should have been a final series. Because I agree with you. I think what the team, if not, if I even if I don't necessarily want to go so far as to speak so definitively and say that the Lakers are, or whoever wins the series is going to win the championship, whoever wins this series has done the most, I think, impressive thing that any of these other playoff teams have done,
All right, so I'll put
right?
it.
Or
I
will
will
do.
put it this way. I think whoever wins the Lakers Warriors series, which obviously has tilted heavily Lakers at this point. but I don't think you can count out the Warriors until they're dead and buried, and then you dance on their grave, and then you
Yeah.
exhume the body and kill it
Yeah.
again and bury it again.
And you put like a GoPro outside of like the hole to make sure like you have it on camera when they get out of the hole. Yeah.
Yes. I think either one of these teams is beating either one of Denver and Phoenix, which puts you in the finals. And the Celtics are scary, but there's just something wrong with the Celtics.
Yeah, Missoula sucks.
I don't know what it is exactly. Maybe that's part of it. He's getting a lot of heat from Celtics fans. I don't think he's been quite as bad as the Celtics fans would have you believe.
Yeah.
But then there's also and you saw this in last year's playoffs, and not just against the Warriors, throughout the playoffs. Jason Tatum set a record for most turnovers in the playoffs. Jason Tatum just has a thing where, for whatever reason, he just either doesn't show up at all or is awful.
Mm-hmm.
Like at least one game out of every 3, and sometimes it's every other game. So I think Boston might be the best team, but I just don't buy it. Nobody is afraid. Nobody's afraid of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
The Knicks are cooked. Like Miami doesn't have anybody left. Jimmy Butler's terrifying.
Yeah.
As we saw in the finals a couple of years ago, where he just kind of won a game by himself, but his ankle's busted up. So I think at this point, I'm gonna say it again, and I will say it with my chest definitively. Shout out Kevin Hart. Whoever wins this series, I think, is winning the title.
As it stands right now, I'm looking at odds, and I'm not going to say which site that I'm looking at because I probably should know. I don't. Yeah, well, it's not directly sponsored. The Celtics are at plus 165. The Lakers are next at plus 400.
Is this to win the title?
To win the title.
So a buddy of mine he told me he bet the Warriors to win the title before the game last night, and they were plus 850. So I would imagine
plus
now
1,600 now.
Yeah.
Which ironically is what I bet on the Lakers after the deadline. I bet on the Lakers to win the title at the deadline for plus 1,600.
Enough that it matters. I don't need. I'm not in your pocket.
A few donuts here and there.
Okay.
Few donuts here and there.
Can Avery have Krispy Kreme for a whole week?
Oh man, maybe. I don't know. Like Krispy Kreme isn't even the best donut shop out here though. Like it's.
Yeah, but I mean, we have to
Yeah. Krispy Kreme is where I was at when
Donut Emporium down the street.
Grand Donuts, like
Grand Donuts. Pink, do they have a pink box?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll allow.
All right. So let's wrap up here. By taking a look ahead, and as you and I are recording this, we don't yet know the results of Game 5 between Denver and Phoenix.
We do not.
I think Denver's gonna win. Did you think Jokic should have been suspended?
No, that was silliness. No, that was silly. Like if we're gonna do blame pie, for me, that's like 80% Ishbia and 20% Joker. So no.
Yeah, here's my thing, and I understand.
I will say this though. Being a slave to precedent,
it can be problematic, right? Like eventually you do have to make progress from bad decisions, but you have to kind of plan that progress better than like something happens and you're all of a sudden like, well, we got to make progress now. I thought that like for the Suns especially, and it takes a lot for me to feel like empathy for Suns fans. But the Suns as a franchise, watched Amari Stoudemire and Boris Diaw get suspended a game for wandering off of the bench.
Correct.
And then now a fan gets pushed. However, much you want to talk about like he embellished it or whatever, and he did. He totally had it coming and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But still, like, for the same franchise to watch Boris Diaw and Amari Stoudemire get suspended and now turn around and not have that guy suspended against us.
Okay, so
I would
that's
feel
why
pretty
this
shitty.
is why it's problematic for the NBA because of everything you just mentioned.
Hmm.
Um, and you're right, you can't go into the stands and push people. But Matt Ishbia, if he was any other fan, if he didn't own the team, he
Hmm.
would have been ejected from the arena also.
Immediately. Yeah.
What like and then Book is joking about it. Well, he did his job. He got us a point, right? Because there was the
Yeah.
T on Joker. Like, yeah, Joker can't push a fan.
Hmm.
I don't care about the flop. Joker can't put his hands on a fan. But a fan can't put his hands on Joker either and can't like hijack the ball. I mean, like,
Yeah.
didn't even get a delay of game, nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
And then here's the other problem, which is why it's weird for the NBA. And this is true because of the Embiid thing also. Like, part of the reason for Draymond's suspension when he got put in an ankle lock and then stomped a mud hole in Sabonis was like a pattern, right? That the NBA said a pattern of behavior or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Well, Joker has that too.
Yeah.
Joker's got some incidents also. So
He
I
knocked
just
out a Morris brother for like half a
right,
season.
right. Cheap shot at him, by the way.
Yeah.
So and this is the case with if we want to wrap it up with like more Lakers stuff. This is the case to like I think the only thing you can say to the NBA is like let me know what it is and let's have a line and let's have it applied to everyone. I don't think it's a like people will say it's a black versus white thing. I don't think that's what it is.
No.
But like I
There's a
understand
perception though, but I don't think
I
that's
understand the
I know
sentiment.
that's not what it is. Yeah.
I don't I happen to not think that's what it is, but I understand the sentiment. And so
Can I
why
also
like
just say like what
I didn't
happens
want
if
Joker suspended, but like by rule he probably should have been. And
that's exactly what I landed on.
right,
Also,
and
like
like
imagine if he did
Ishbia
that to
should have been
Genie.
ejected too and fined. Like what why are you allowed to hold the ball and put your hands on a player?
I'm not saying Genie would ever go that far, but like just say that Genie is the person on the other end of that thing.
I will not say that.
I guarantee you that player gets suspended. I guarantee it that player gets suspended
But
for
Genie's also
shoving
not
a
whatever, like grabbing the
if
ball and
he,
trying to disrupt play. That's the like the entitlement that he feels like he's part of the game is like I don't, it's just gross.
yeah.
Which is why I said, look, Joker can't do what he did, but which is why I say it's like 80%, 20%. And so I only ask for like figure out whatever it is and just
Yeah.
apply the rules evenly to everybody. And to bring it back to Lakers Warriors, that's all you ask for the refs too. I get
Yes.
what Steve Kerr is doing,
Yeah.
complaining about the officials because like you should, right? You should no, he should.
Yeah, no, and
Even if he doesn't believe it, he should, right? You're down
yeah.
3-1, you should.
Their entire dynasty has been built on illegal screens. Fuck out of here.
Everybody hates the officials every night. Everybody
Yeah.
thinks they get fucked every night. It's not a Steve Kerr thing. It's not a Warriors thing, right? The Warriors set a bunch of screens which are borderline and maybe illegal. Andrew Bogut said basically said like I had to literally pull a knife on somebody to get,
Yeah.
but like okay, but Warriors fans would complain about Lakers stuff and Nuggets fans are going to complain about Phoenix stuff, and Phoenix fans are going to complain about Nugget stuff. Like this is what it is, and they're all right and they're all wrong. The problem though is like the reason why I don't like it from Kerr is game. What did we just watch? 4, at least in my opinion, was the best officiated game of the series. I think he had a case earlier. You don't have a case now. This was the best officiated game.
Yeah, I think they shot the most free throws, right? Of
Yeah, I
any
think the
game
Lakers
in
had
that one.
I think the Lakers had a 10 free throw attempt.
Yeah,
I think the Lakers had 10 free throws attempts more.
which felt
But
low,
like it's
to
just
be
like
honest. But
I
whatever.
get it, right? I get it. Like this is what you do, right? It's not a Steve Kerr thing. This is an everybody thing. This is a card you play in the playoffs. You complain about officiating, right? And you hope to get a better whistle in the next game. It's human nature. But as it relates to the NBA and the meting out of punishment for Draymond or Embiid or Joker, like just make it even.
Yeah,
Officials, just make it just make it
man,
even.
I watched Draymond carry on out there. Like the way he talks to refs, not another player in the league gets to carry on that way.
I think he
Nobody.
gets. I think in some strange way, I think he gets a like shorter leash and longer leash
Yeah,
than
he gets
everybody in the league.
he gets a quick first tech, and then
Yeah,
they're
because
like
based on reputation, and then he knows they're
terrified to
like
throw him
they're
out.
not going to throw me out because they
Yeah,
don't want to be the story. They're not going to throw
and he
me
just
out,
goes
so
and he
I got
goes and
it.
he goes and he goes,
He has the
and then like
shortest and longest leash simultaneously.
I also thought, like, to your point about the refereeing and the corrections that exist over the course of a series, I thought the Warriors smartly, and especially Draymond, basically just set a tone of like, hey, this is how we're defending. And we're just going to hit, and we're just going to push, and we're going to shove, and all those things.
You
And
know,
if you're going to call fouls, you're going to call 75 fouls. And they were never going to call
it's the
75
Legion of
fouls.
Boom, Seattle Seahawks,
Yeah,
Carroll
exactly.
thing, like, and especially because Draymond had 5 fouls early in Game 5. Some of them were dubious,
Yeah.
but after he says that, and after that becomes the story in Game 4, he's like, I know I'm getting away with shit now.
Yeah.
You're
See,
gonna foul me out in the first quarter. Good luck.
all I ask for is, all right, overcorrect in San Francisco in Game 5. Don't call any moving screens, anything like that. And then when the game gets back to LA in Game 6, in a game that I think the Lakers can win, do not call or do not allow them to set a single screen. Every screen is illegal. That's all I ask for.
So do you have it? My actual prediction, and I didn't make one before the series because I didn't feel like I had a good handle on it, and I still don't feel like I have a good handle on it. But I do think there's kind of like some last stand thing for the Warriors in Game 5. I expect the Warriors to win in Game 5. I think the Lakers win in Game 6. That's, I think.
So
But again, you could like much like individual performances, you could tell me the Warriors lay down in Game 5 and the Lakers beat them by 40, and I'd say, yeah, okay, maybe. Or you could say the Warriors blow them out in Game 5. The Lakers get tight in Game 6 because all the pressure's back on the Lakers, and then who knows in game like that's why this is so fascinating. It could be anything.
all right, I have two questions because of that response.
Okay.
One, like if you were asking me for a prediction, I do think that the Warriors, I wouldn't go so far as to call it like a last dance. I just think the Lakers are exhausted. Playing 2 straight games as hard as the Lakers just played the last 2, and then traveling up there is a lot. And the Lakers, I think they're more likely to. I think it's going to be one of those games that LeBron kind of feels out at first, sees if like they can keep it close long enough that he can make a run at it late, but doesn't ever really push on the gas. And then normally the Lakers just lose those games by a lot. So I think that's kind of how that game is going to go. But yeah, you talking about this last dance stuff, last dance, right?
Last
Like,
stand.
well, yeah, right. So last dance has been like what the season has been referred to for the Warriors. And
The vibes
I'm
are
kind
so
of
horrendous there too. So maybe they just lay down. I don't know.
well, the vibes are terrible. Yeah, I'm wondering though, like, is this it? Like, if did Lonnie Walker just put a not the final nail, but a nail into the coffin of the Golden State Warriors dynasty? Like, I don't know. Like, the vibes are so terrible. It's clear that the young guys want to take over from the old guys. It's clear that the old guys hate the young guys because the young guys want to take over for the old guys. I don't really know how this is necessarily salvageable without shipping out like multiple players from either the core that won you the titles, which I personally would be loyal to. Maybe I'm a crazy person. But I also know that because of the way that we've seen teams operate with owners that are kind of overzealous and a little high on their own supply, he might, lean towards the youth movement, ship out Dre, ship out Clay. I think Steph stays. I don't think there's ever a situation where they ever move Steph where he doesn't just, absolutely demand to be moved. But like, yeah, is this it? Like, I don't. You're closer to this. You pay more attention.
We're about to find out. That's why this is so fascinating. We're about to find out.
Man,
And for context, when the three Steph, Clay, and Dre, when the three of them start and finish every game, when they're not injured, suspended, whatever, they've never lost. They just
Yeah.
since Steve Kerr's been there, they've never lost.
This would be the first
and they've
time.
never lost at all before the finals. They've never lost a Western Conference series.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's why all of this is fascinating.
So they would lose one and be just scrap the whole project.
I mean, but also they're also like,
and I can see
it. They
it.
lose because they're old, because it's gone now, right? Clay's been horrendous. Dre's been Steph's still one of the best 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 players on planet Earth. But yeah, that's why all this is fascinating. Do they scratch? And Dre's got a contract thing coming up, and Clay maybe, and there's the new CBA coming, and all of this. It's fascinating.
Yeah,
I think I don't know. I think they've shown that they could still win a title with these guys, but I don't know.
But
it's fascinating.
Does Joe Lacob want to scrap the 2 timeline process that he's gone on?
I think this is the 2 timeline thing coming to roost.
Actually. It is. Oh, absolutely. You have 2 guys on your bench who could have gotten you back guys who can't help, right? They finally did move Wiseman, but at way below cost of what they could have moved him, say, heading into the year.
And they closed with not Jordan Poole. They closed with Moses Moody.
Yeah.
Who
Kaminga hasn't seen a minute.
Didn't play all year.
Yeah.
And then
Kaminga did play more, isn't playing now.
Some and doesn't play in the play. I don't know. It's fascinating.
Does Kerr get fired? Like, oh my God, man.
Bob Myers doesn't.
You have Bob Myers' contract thing coming up too.
Draymond has a player option.
Hey,
Poole starts his extension next year and has been an abomination.
Rob Pelinka is the president of basketball operations, or vice president, right? What if they promote him to president and bring in Bob Myers as general manager? What do you think, huh?
I think that's unlikely.
What do you think, huh?
I think that's unlikely. Just the dual agents? I think that's unlikely.
I want to see it. I want to see it. I'm getting so greedy. Like the Lakers have won one series and are up 3-1.
To be fair, that assumes that Bob Myers is good at his job.
I think we can objectively say he's good at his job.
I mean,
I think we can. I think he's good at his job, and the fail son stepped in.
Kerr is good at his job. It's all 30. All of
Roman Roy is out there firing executive producers. Like Kirk Lacob is stepping in here and demanding that they keep James Wiseman forever.
Trying to get her back. What did you think of what do you think of this season? Let's make it more broad. What do you think of this season?
Succession?
Yes.
I think there have been incredible highs. Like I don't think I've ever experienced anything like the episode where. All right, quick spoiler alert.
Yeah, if you have not watched,
we're done talking basketball. This is it. We're just gonna.
If you've not watched this season of Succession.
Yeah.
You now have a 5-second break to turn this.
Yeah.
off.
Well, not 5. That's a long time. But go away. You can leave now. But the episode where Logan dies, I have never seen anything like that. Killing a character that integral to the story off camera, basically, where he doesn't say a word. No, wispy father speech on his way out. The closest thing to it is his kids like trying to reach through the phone and pull their dad into him.
Trying to get information.
Yeah, like I've never seen anything like that. It legitimately moved me. And then I also though think that like there's like a lot of filler for like the final season of like what I consider one of the greatest shows, my favorite show of all time. There's been a lot of filler, and I think they killed Logan without like a clear identity for or idea of who's going to fill that airspace, and I think they're still trying to find it.
So I agree with all of that. So I said after there has to be a statute of limitations on Twitter, and people do not follow this rule, but it's very important to me that you don't talk about a show. Like there are some shows that we collectively watch on Twitter. You do not talk about those shows. I like a 48-hour grace period, but at least at least get 24, right?
Yeah.
And so,
or to me, like, I see a lot of people who cover the NBA who are tweeting shit about Succession while there's an NBA playoff game on.
no,
Like, you
no,
know what we're all doing.
yeah,
Like, you
no,
know what we're all here for. What are you
yeah,
doing?
no. I agree with that. So I said the other day about the most recent episode that I thought it was just like dull and nothing really happened.
Although the scene with Tom and Shiv was incredible.
But yeah,
That was
but
so
and
good.
by the way, cousin Greg was at the game last night.
Yeah.
Or excuse me, Monday night as you listen to this. I said that on Twitter. I think Monday. I don't think I said it Sunday night. I hope I didn't say it Sunday night. I think I said it Monday, to give people a chance to watch it. That I just thought that the acting was incredible, but like it was dull and nothing happened. And somebody on NBA Twitter today said, Tuesday said, like, kind of put a thesis out about this season, and I thought it really encapsulated my feelings on it. Is that, like,
who was it? Do you remember?
No, but I can find it. And the point was that, basically, I'm paraphrasing, was that the plot was doing the actors no favors because the acting has been incredible.
Mm-hmm.
But the plot, it's like the plot had done them no favors.
So what I think, where I think we're heading in this is that, like,
oh yeah, I do like predictions.
So, well, I mean,
do we think there's going to be, like, this is Game of Thrones where there's going to be like somebody that wins?
I think the point is that, like, we all lose. Like, it doesn't matter who. Like, the point of the show is, like, we saw in that last episode, we saw Lucas Matson. You know, we find out that his numbers are fudged
with the Kyrie's on.
Yeah, with
I was so from CBS. He's I think he's an
Sam?
NBA editor at CBS. Adi Joseph.
Oh yeah.
He said, "Are y'all really happy with this season of Succession? Question mark. Feels like a lot of great acting papering over a weak plot."
Yeah,
and that's that's how I feel.
So essentially, like, this is a way I'm kind of agreeing with him.
Are we Bill Simmons now? Are we just doing?
No, I mean,
just doing.
I like talking to you about stuff that I find interesting. So if we have time, we're gonna talk. But whatever. But I think I think I'm in somewhat agreement with him. But I think, like, it being kind of a thin plot or kind of a whatever plot is kind of the point. Like, Matson, we find out his numbers are fudged, and he, like, created a new India in order to. And then in the previous episode, we find out that Kendall is fudging his numbers and, like, literally created audio of his dad making up numbers to move the market in that way.
What do they call him? Waystar Jesus?
Yeah, right. And so, like, I think, like, the point of all of this, and like, it's like a really, really quick aside line that Kendall gives you. But Kendall basically says, with a wink to the camera, it's enough to make you question capitalism altogether. And, like, that is the point. The point of this is, like, all of those people are broken, gross, awful people who are just messing with all of our lives in whatever way that they want to. Not for, like, personal wealth, because the wealth doesn't matter. They're all rich, doesn't matter. But because, like, it's the only thing that gives them life. It's the only thing that gives them any joy. And like, I think the way that this show is probably going to end is with nobody winning per se, but everybody losing. Like, the fascist president is going to win. Like, that presidential candidate is going to win.
Yeah.
And like, Waystar Royco is going to buy whatever Gojo, I think
Matson's,
it is, right?
Yeah, Gojo, yeah. Matson's company, they're messing with the numbers, yeah.
Yeah, like, they're and yet, like, as that is going through, Shiv is gonna snitch on Kendall as he's about to take over Gojo. That, like, hey, by the way, little brother over there or big brother over there, he told me he murdered somebody.
Right,
and, like, Kendall's gonna lose,
as he did his dad at the end of season 2, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. I just think they're all gonna keep on infighting with each other. Nobody's actually really gonna win. But like the point of the show is that we keep losing because those idiots are in charge.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's a yeah. I think that's a good theory. And the reason why I think it's a good theory is because this may be the first show that is this popular and people are this invested in watching it where we hate everybody.
Yeah,
Like usually shows there can be shows, right? So like I think
Tony Soprano.
The Wire's and maybe The Sopranos. I think it was The Wire, maybe The Sopranos, where it was like the line is blurred between protagonist and antagonist, and
Yeah,
like whoever we follow the most is it's fraught and it's problematic.
yeah,
But there were in those shows there were and look, I've watched The Sopranos a couple times through, but I don't know The Sopranos as well as I know The Wire. But in those shows, there were people that were redeeming, at least in pockets. There were like redeeming characters, or there were characters with redeeming traits,
yeah.
and they're just
Not necessarily redeemable, but like there were aspects of them that you could be
and there
pulled
just
towards.
isn't even that in Succession. Like
Yeah.
everyone is 100% awful.
You want my hottest Succession take?
So let me finish. Yeah, I do, but let me finish.
All
So
right.
I think that what you're onto maybe is right. Is that like the real message of it is these people like are just fucking with me and you and Joe everybody's lives,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe the happy ending is that all of these people that we love to watch but also love to hate all fail, and maybe
Yeah.
that's the happy ending is that they all fuck it up.
A moment that like might kind of indicate that is where the guy that Shiv cheated on
Came to the party, yeah.
Tom with, yeah. That guy, like where he tells him like we aren't doing it the same way, and like
Oh,
he
what you
kept
mean when he
pushing.
to Kendall? You mean when he walked
Yeah,
out
like
again? Yeah, yeah.
Kendall's trying to like do the backhanded dealings and stuff that his dad used to
He's
get
trying
away
to
with.
get him to go against the deal.
Yeah, and the guy was just like, "No, I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with." Okay, I'm leaving because I'm not okay with that. And like to your point, like I think that might be the way that everybody fails. Is that like
They're so
it's
awful
some
that people end up eventually just saying, "I won't be a part of this."
yeah, like we were just we're done here. But my hottest take though, because you say
Love it.
like there are no characters that we find ourselves rooting for. You know who I find myself rooting for more than anybody?
Oh God, I have no idea.
Connor. I love Connor. I love Connor so much. I love. All right, here we're gonna have to put that on video. But like, here's my thing with Connor. All
Okay.
of these other kids, all of these other kids are like, searching for the thing that makes them feel whole. And the only thing that they can feel whole through, the only prism that they're defining wholeness through is like, would daddy be happy for me doing this? Right. And they never at any point
They
like
all
think
seek their
of,
father's approval. Yes.
yeah, like at no point do Shiv, Roman, or Kendall ever think of it from the perspective of like, hey, what what is it that I am pursuing here?
Mm-hmm.
Like what am I looking for here? At sometimes they wanted to work together and that was what they were pursuing. At sometimes Kendall Roy now is like apparently pushing everybody else out. But that's gonna change, I think, at some point too. Shiv started the show as like a holier than thou liberal person who like looked down on the family business because of the wrong it was doing to the country and all that stuff. Now she's like desperate to get in any way that she can possibly get in. And it's
Yes.
just like like these people have broken themselves and broken each other in pursuit of daddy's love. And the one guy, and I'm not saying that Connor hasn't been looking for approval from daddy either, but the one guy this season who has kind of flown above that and just been like, no, I think this kind of, I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying running for president. Yeah, I'm probably ruining a lot of people and all of that stuff. I'm saying all kinds of stupid shit and I'm going to get a job I'm not at all prepared to have. But you know what? I'm actually willing to put my name on the thing that I want. And I like that. It's like, it's so rare in the show that Tom is also like, no, you know what? The reason, Shiv, I betrayed you for your dad is because that was my means of getting more money. And like, I like the characters in the show who are willing to just say exactly what they want and say it in clear terms and go out and try to get it. It's so rare in that show, and I enjoy it. You disagree?
I can't stand Connor, but
Connor's the funniest person
in that
that's probably part of
vein.
it.
Maybe his wife is, or future wife, or whatever.
Current wife.
Maybe she's been the most honest.
Yeah, she's look. I think inarguably she's the most successful character when you consider where she was at the beginning of the show to now. Like,
I mean, cousin Greg's kind of come up too.
I guess, but like, he's such a joke. Greg is hilarious though.
Didn't the show start with him at like a
Disneyland
teaching thing? Yeah, for their like carnival.
He's like throwing up in
park,
a helmet,
like learning at like watching videos, learning how to be a cast member, to use the Disneyland parlance, like to be a mascot in a costume at a theme park.
And he got fired and then rehired because of who his uncle is. Yeah, or no, who? Yeah, his uncle or grandpa. His grandpa, great uncle is Logan.
Yeah, his grandfather, who is Logan's brother.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was our Succession takes. You want to start doing Succession recaps for Substack?
Yeah,
you want to start doing that?
Yeah, I told you we're Bill Simmons.
All right, we're going to start doing that on my Substack then. That is the formal announcement. Until then, and until the next time I talk to you, I'm Anthony Irwin. That was Aaron Larsoul. This was the Lakers Lounge. Next time you hear from us, I'll have a lowdown out later tonight, and then we will be getting ready for. I'm going to record the lowdown after Suns and Nuggets. And we'll have, maybe a clearer picture of what the Lakers are potentially playing for here. If Phoenix wins, that's the only like you're talking about, Aaron. If in terms of like the unpredictability of this Lakers Warriors series, if Phoenix wins, I do kind of wonder if LeBron puts his foot down and tries to win Game 5, just to try, like, because if Phoenix wins, then they go and win in 6, and then there's no rest advantage. So it might not matter, but
put your foot down anyway.
Yeah. The only thing I want to avoid is trying hard and then losing. Like it's
the playoffs.
That's the only thing. Yeah, I know. It says a lot about me as like as an employee though. So sorry. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.